Hey, how you doing? Before I get to the content of today's video, I just want to say if you're interested in making more money for your business, in attracting more clients, converting more of those clients to paying customers, and retaining more of those customers and turning them into raving fans, then stay with me. I've got an important announcement to make at the end of this video regarding you and your business. And no, this is not the normal marketing strategy or marketing course that I've got to offer you. I have some important news regarding Monday. Okay, so stay with me. Now, before I get to that, I want to talk to you about something that I was doing in some of the earlier videos that I think you're going to find very, very important and useful. Okay, how would you like to be able to increase the responsiveness of your prospective customers? How would that be interesting to you? I thought so. Okay, so going back to, let me think, 1927, there's this Russian psychologist. His name was Zeigarnik. And what Dr. Zeigarnik, I assume he was a doctor, what Dr. Zeigarnik found, he studied waiters in restaurants. And he found that waiters, he only studied waiters in this particular study, he found they had this uncanny ability to remember large numbers of orders, but only whilst they were in the process of being served. Once they'd actually been served and the food's delivered, they just forgot the order and that was it, they couldn't recall it. But up until that point, they were able to remember large numbers of orders. It has to do with our ability to remember things and to be able to retain information whilst it remains incomplete. And we see this a lot, especially if you're in the kind of the NLP world. You see it a lot in things like nested loops and in storytelling. It's used a lot in things like learning strategies and learning technologies as well, because they're very powerful, principles we're talking about here. I'm going to be kind of talking to you more within the specific context of commerce, okay, of attracting more business and converting more business, because it's very powerful when it's used, when the Zeigarnik principle is used. Now, how did I use it? Well, do you remember in the lightsaber video in particular, both of them I used this, the ninja video and the lightsaber video. But what I did is I got the box down and I said, okay, there's something kind of cool in this box that I'm going to show you, but first I'm going to tell you a story. And I started telling this story about Star Wars, yeah? Do you remember that? It was only a couple of days ago. And basically what I was doing was employing the Zeigarnik effect. It would have been very hard, and I know this, that it's very hard for somebody when I go, I'm going to show you this in a minute, but first, it's very hard at that point for somebody to go, now I'm out of here, okay? It's a great retention device, and here's how I want you to use it, because we can theorize about this stuff, but here's the bottom line of how to use it. And by the way, this really isn't theory. This stuff works, okay? I used it even before I was working in infomercials, when I was working with the BBC, which is the UK's big public service broadcaster. I was working on the games for game shows, okay, and we employed the Zeigarnik effect in these game shows that were designed to attract millions of viewers and to retain them. That was the key thing. We were always looking at retention of viewers. We employed the Zeigarnik effect amply throughout the whole show. So here's how you use it. If you're using online video, for example, if you do any of your marketing using video, audio, in writing, you can employ this. Now, whether you use it in the way that I do in those earlier videos where you're just trying to deliver some good information to someone, use the Zeigarnik effect so that you retain them, so that they get all of your message. You don't want to have people dropping out and, like going basically and not getting your good, if it's free information, if it's paid for stuff, you want to make sure that your message is getting through. Use the Zeigarnik effect. Here's the other thing. If you're actually in the selling process, okay, so if you're selling, say, in video, like here, one thing you can do is say, okay, I'm going to take you through my like for example, I might say, I'm going to take you through my program. Here are the things, but before I get to that, stay with me because I'll reveal the best at the end. So you must stay with me as I walk you through the program, because I've got some bonuses at the end that are unbelievable, worth £5 billion. So stay with me. I've saved the best till last. We've heard all that. That's employing the Zeigarnik effect to some degree, because it's very difficult at that point to go. Because you're like, well, I want to hang around and see what this best till last is, okay? So employ the Zeigarnik effect, use it in your business, and you'll get tremendous results. But here's something else that's cool that happens as well. Oh, by the way, people use it. You see it in popular culture, don't you? If you look at shows like 24, with Jack Bauer, The show, the hour-long show, is broken up into smaller chunks of information. At the end of each one of those, there's usually this little suspense mechanism, this retention device where you feel this urge to hang around to get the conclusion of that. Okay, it's left incomplete. Then the larger show is usually left incomplete, where at the end there's a suspension device that keeps you watching for the next show. And then at the end of the series, there's usually a suspension device to make sure that you tune in for the next series. It makes it very difficult for you to forget it. It's always hanging around in your brain. It's just the way this stuff works. Here's something else cool that happens when you use the zeigarnik effect. Because when you do something, like if you remember with the lightsaber, I said, here's the box, I'll tell you about this in a minute, I put it down. Your brain, at some level, has this little frustration. Not frustration in the typical sense of the word where you're like, frustration. But it has this little, there's something open and it's constantly kind of thinking about it at some level. What happens is at the end when you conclude, your brain has this mini kind of relief is the best word really to describe it. It kind of goes, oh, thank God, I've got completion. Now what's really happened is you've taken your prospect through this little emotional journey. Okay? So, use it not just to retain people, but also to bond with them. Because basically by the end of whatever it is, say it's a video you're doing, by the end of it, when you go to completion, you will have created this kind of little bond. Why? Because you'll have taken your prospect or your client through this little emotional journey from frustration to effectively a kind of relief. Again, these are the closest kind of emotions I can say to describe what really happens. But basically you take your prospect through this little emotional loop, this little journey with you. That creates a much more powerful bond, okay? Again, creates a greater sense of belonging, and it starts to employ some of the principles that I talk about in the report, okay? So use the zeigarnik effect. It's incredibly powerful. Okay, at the beginning of the video, I'm just watching my time here. At the beginning of the video, I promised you I would be telling you more about how to make more money, get more clients, retain your customers. What I'm doing on Monday, so that's Monday the 18th, this next Monday coming, I am opening my Distance Persuasion Consortium. It's my new monthly program. I'm putting a kind of a pause on all my other kind of marketing programs. Why? Because as I outlined in the previous video, I have come to this realization, this blinding realization that, you know what, all the marketing tactics, strategy in the world, even if you implement them, do not guarantee your business success. Your ability to persuade, to be an elegant and highly skilled and talented persuader is what will enable you to get the most out of everything you do. Even if your marketing's average, if you're a brilliant persuader, you'll get more out of it. If you do follow it, like, you know, if you've got boxes and boxes of DVDs like I have, then it'll enable you to get more out of that. Really, the core money-making activity behind your marketing, sales, promotion is your ability to persuade. So, I'm creating this Distance Persuasion Consortium. It's a very small inner circle of members that I'm going to be opening up on Monday, okay? Now, a few things about it. This is a more advanced level kind of membership program. It's not for beginners. It's not for people who are just starting their business. The reason I say that is because what I'm going to be doing is sharing with you proven tactics and strategies that have worked and do work, okay? Proven is the key sort of word here, in as much as these are the tactics and strategies that I have employed in the highest risk direct response marketing environments on the planet, some of the biggest brands on the planet as well. Not just that, not just hard goods, not just electronics and cosmetics, but also with big names in personal development and information marketing. Tony Robbins, Paul McKenna, Wayne Dyer, the Food Doctor, Uri Geller. You know, I've been working with not just selling hard goods, not just selling a promise with cosmetics, but also selling information. This stuff works, and it's the culmination of well over a decade of my testing and refining these ideas. And what I'm doing is I'm putting them into manageable information chunks that you can use straight away. Plug into your business, get the effect. It's not, you're not going to have to wade through hours and hours of theory or some recording of me at a seminar. That's not what this is. This is me delivering what works so you can take it, template, literally cut and paste form, whether it be in video, audio, in writing, and you can use it, okay? So here's the news. Be here at 10 o'clock British summertime, BST, not GMT. Thanks, Michael. Be here 10 a.m. British Standard Time on the 18th for more info, and I'll be giving you some more information about the program tomorrow. See you then.